the Star Wars Guys podcast. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
You must be cautious. Hello there. What's going on, Force family? Welcome back to Star Wars Guys. We've been on a little break. We were off last week for Easter Sunday, but we're back, and another topic around Kenobi, obviously, because the show's coming out.
It's so close.
Because it's coming. It's coming. There's news
Just
coming
over
out
a month.
Just
over a month from now, we'll be watching it.
Right? Yeah. There's news coming out every week. It seems like a little more stuff comes out, and we'll get into that here in a second. But for this episode, we are going to take a look at Obi-Wan's complete journey. So we might discuss some of when we were first introduced to Obi-Wan, whether that was old Ben.
Like our journey with Obi-Wan.
Like our journey with Obi-Wan, but then also then take, chronological order and go through a recap leading up to the show and then what we know post the time period of the show.
I like it. So personal journey and character journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this could be anything from the pain that he's dealt with, just timeline-wise, where everything's kind of falling his stuff. What the headspace is for Obi-Wan
to the
at
mullet
the time
he
of the
had in
show.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we'll even touch on some Clone Wars, some Rebels.
How he
stuff.
actually became Ben.
How he became Ben.
Ooh, yeah.
Interesting.
Big
thought.
stretch.
Right.
Yeah, old
You'd
Ben.
never make that connection.
Never. Would have never
I
thought.
love it.
Are we sure? Is that confirmed? Is he old Ben?
I don't know. He's just the wizard's just a crazy old man. That's all.
Right.
There's one thing I've learned from Uncle Owen. It's that wizard's just a crazy old man.
He's a wizard?
Which, by the way,
He's a
this is a little tangent before we start, because let's get our tangent going right away. It's not people
Mark
make
the time. 26 seconds.
love it. People make the jokes about how much Obi-Wan must age
Oh yeah.
between Attack of the Clones and New Hope. We've also seen young Owen and Beru, and the twin sons haven't been fair
It
to
is
them
not
either.
kind to the skin.
I think it's more of just if you live on Tatooine, it takes a toll on you.
Right.
More than just like Ewan to Alec. I
Yeah.
think that we've seen Joel Edgerton, and we've also seen Joel Edgerton in this show.
Yeah.
With the previews, and he looks older than when he did at the end of Revenge of the Sith. He doesn't look Uncle Owen, getting frustrated with Luke about wanting to go off to the academy. That type of old, but
No.
that's just part of it. That's just part of George
just
going. You know
part
what?
of it.
This could be 30 years difference, or it could be 19 years.
Right.
Just
We'll
decide
figure
later.
it out later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
But yeah, I know before we dive into some stuff, you want to touch on some news.
Oh yes,
some
there are a
recent news.
few. Yes,
And
so,
I also want to say welcome to those that are listening. So thank you
Yes,
for
thank you.
Clone
Yeah,
Commando, and we got WT. Welcome.
comment
welcome.
along if there's anything that you
Yes.
think of it's a good point or a question you want us to read on the show. We love interacting with the audience while we're doing it.
Exactly.
And we are not afraid to veer off.
No.
This is
We're
not
more
a
afraid of
show.
staying on topic. That's way harder.
This is not a show where we're like, please, questions at the end. This is going to derail
Yes.
everything that we have prepped for,
Yeah.
because we've never prepped.
That said,
Oh,
if
yeah.
we do miss a comment, just comment again.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah,
Keep them
yeah.
coming. We try and get to those.
Mhm.
All right, so a couple of things that I thought would be fun discussing. This is some stuff. One of them, two of these topics are Kenobi related, and then one is Star Wars related. Obviously, it's a Star Wars show. Wouldn't be like, oh, this next one's about Pokemon.
And the news about Ukraine. Why are we
This is we're really branching out.
Pokemon.
closer than Ukraine?
Yeah, Pokemon.
Okay.
I love it. Those two examples couldn't have been more different too.
No.
That was great. So this week, Liam Neeson was doing an interview for a new
I think I did
movie
see
that he
this.
was that he's in. Yeah, another action Liam Neeson action movie. And
Taken 12.
he's like
How old
70
is
years
Liam?
old
Oh,
now.
yeah, okay.
Every movie
He's like
is
69
Taken,
or
right?
70 years
Yeah.
old. But he was asked if he would ever return to. They were hinting at whether or not he would be possibly appearing in
And he
the
dropped the
Kenobi
bomb.
series.
Yeah.
So what he said, "Oh, I would totally be interested in returning to the character and returning to Star Wars. Like, I had a good time doing it. For me, though, I'm a big screen snob. I'm kind of a snob when it comes to the big screen, and I would prefer that it would be in a. Did you hear that same
I
quote?
saw that. Yeah.
Something about like, so I don't know. I don't think
So
I'd have
Disney
any
Plus would
interest in. Yeah, essentially
Really?
it was like that. Like, I wouldn't have any interest in doing that. I'm a sucker for a theatrical thing. So if it was that and it was a good part,
but Clone
I
Wars
for sure
was
would.
fine with.
And immediately,
Clone Wars,
wait a second.
immediately people started saying in like on social
animated
media,
TV show though, that he's all for.
Yeah.
people started saying in social media that we think that this is a misdirect.
Yeah.
This is an
Diversion.
Andrew Garfield. I can't confirm I'm in this.
Instead
I'm
of
not
just
doing it.
lying, he said, "I'm just gonna."
I'm just not going to do that. Which people also then went to discuss, like, is it a good misdirect, though? Because then you're kind of almost discouraging people to watch the show. But then when
Right.
you surprise us and are in it, we'll be like, oh, we knew it. But also now,
Big liar.
you told me you didn't want to. And he also apparently recently had just been in a couple of different TV shows.
Right.
And he's done,
Well, he's done the voice.
he's
for
done the voice for, he's done the
Yeah.
voice in the Mortis arc. He was,
Oh,
he was,
man.
No, I'm not.
so
I'm
I don't
not- look into
necessarily
it, yeah.
I don't necessarily buy it. I think that it makes sense that he would be. We've discussed on here that it makes sense that he would be in the show.
Yeah.
I'm not saying 100% that he
I
will
talked to
be.
him. He's in it.
He's in. He's got to be in it.
He has to be, right?
I don't know who you are, but I have a very particular set of Force Ghost skills.
Skills.
So I just thought that was
Right.
interesting. Of
Yeah.
he's being asked and has denied it. And
I mean, wouldn't you plan ahead? Like have an answer like that's like
I know, like
test it out. Like let's just with your like family. Like
totally.
ask me that. I'm gonna throw some stuff at you, and you tell me which one of these sounds good. And they
Yeah.
would go, "Don't do that.
Yeah,
That's not a
exactly.
good one."
Yeah,
You're like,
right.
no,
Pick
don't take
something
a
else.
Don't
take a shot at the show you're eventually going to be in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
maybe
maybe
this
he's
was
not
him.
in
Just, some people think maybe.
Not now. Kathy, put your glasses on. Okay, Mike, come on.
Him and Gene's
Sorry,
guy
man.
just got edited out.
Yes, that's it. That's
Gene's
everything.
guy.
Gene's guy.
Oh man,
Gene's guy is great because he wasn't supposed to be in it, and he made it.
that's awesome.
He just broke through the barrier. I love it.
He wanted to be in Star Wars canon
Next,
so bad.
we'll go through this kind of quick. Next one, Natalie Holt. I sent the article around a little bit.
Yeah.
Composer confirmed Natalie Holt,
Yeah.
who did the music for Loki, which I actually am a really big fan of the Loki series. I think it's
yeah,
I think
it's
so
great.
far it would definitely be neck and neck between Loki and WandaVision. Were my two favorite. Maybe Loki would be. I just really liked that Loki
I think
show
Loki
a lot.
might be my favorite.
I think I went into Loki with not high expectations and
Yeah.
left completely blown away and really
Yeah.
loved it. But the music, which was a really integral part of the show,
Mhm.
she composed that, and she's confirmed and there was an article with Variety that came out in the last couple of days, which is all
Yeah.
part of, again, this marketing push to get more Obi-Wan stuff out there. But she was talking about the relationship or just the kind of transition of taking a baton from being passed the baton from John Williams to
Right.
do music for a character that is beloved and for a
Yeah.
show and all this, but then did talk about what we have talked about on the show before about how John Williams was adamant that he got to write the theme for Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
and
Or as
or as he called it,
Benny.
Benny.
Benny,
Just let me do it for
yeah.
Benny.
For
do one
Benny.
for
Which I didn't really think about it though is the only John Williams was saying because it's the only classic character he never got to write a theme for,
Yeah.
and because he dies so early in A New Hope,
Right.
and you eventually get the Han stuff, the
Yeah.
Leia
It's the
stuff,
Force
the Luke
theme was-
stuff. It's the
Obi-Wan.
Force theme was
supposed to
initially
be
supposed to be that,
Obi-Wan,
and then
yeah.
it became something bigger that they
That's right.
ended
Yeah.
up.
Well, I was excited.
using.
I read there's an article that you sent me about Natalie, and
Yes.
she's a violinist.
Yes. Oh,
Which-
she played.
She plays on this,
Yeah.
And so as I'm listening to it, I'm hearing, there's a we've got some violin themes, which I love that.
This is why I
Yeah.
really wanted to send it to you too,
String
because I knew
driven.
that you would be able to read
String
into that a
driven,
lot
man.
more
Right.
too of what
Right.
Can't
of
wait.
what you can picture. And I like that she was talking about the theme because she had heard the theme of John Williams' theme, and she said, "I think it'd be blown away." And like,
For the
Johnny,
new
Johnny,
one,
you've
you
done
mean.
it
She
for the new one.
described
For the
it-
new one.
Yeah.
She described it as being hopeful and
Yeah.
mysterious,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's cool.
It's it sounds like John Williams, and of course, what do we expect? We expect anything less from John Williams, but the fact that this guy can continue to make something
90,
that is
It's
Yeah,
just unbelievable.
the fact that he can continue to make something that feels very much Star Wars but also brand new is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like of thinking, how do you make something that doesn't feel like, oh, this feels like Tron, or this feels something that's sci-fi,
It's
but
gotta
it's
feel the
completely
same,
different. It
but
has
can't
to
be
feel
the
like Star
same.
Wars, but
It's-
can't be.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
crazy.
remarkable.
So that's exciting. That's
Has to
kinda
feel
cool
new and
article
fresh,
going
but also like you've
But
heard it
can't-
before.
yeah,
on. Yeah,
inevitable.
exactly.
Yeah.
So cool stuff
Man.
there. Can't wait to see that. And
Yeah.
then the final short little story is Andor season 2 confirms
Yeah.
they're beginning filming in
Woo.
November, which I just love the confidence
have
that
one
they
yet.
have.
They
That they're like, we don't even have season 1. We don't even have a trailer for season 1 yet, and they're
Right.
already have confirmation of. We said Stellan Skarsgård had kind of leaked this in an interview. It was like, well, I'm going to be filming Dune in the summer because then we have that second Andor series we're doing, and everyone's like, whoa.
It could be the kind of thing where they have they pitched a story.
Yeah.
And they said, to tell this story, we need 4 seasons.
That's
So
true.
part of
And they just greenlit the whole thing. And
so
said,
I have a little
and with
bit
Disney
of a,
Plus,
up
you
or
can
down.
do that.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a second
know
part
the
to that
pitch?
story is
Oh.
that I
Yeah.
We've been trying.
He did. He pulled it out.
Yes, Mike
down
is
there.
off mic.
He pulled it out,
Yes.
this guy. This guy lit us. He
Why
couldn't
don't you use the force and try to push it back in?
literally, and then he looks up and goes, "Did I pull it out?"
They pull it out because
He's
check
back.
1. All right, so
He's back.
I
And-
pulled my mic out. That
and
was
it's
the chat
louder than
going.
ever.
Move it along, guy.
Move it along.
So part 2. I heard that. I heard that
Kind of
again.
loud too.
Part
Oh, man.
2 to that story is that one of the producers or someone creative involved with Andor
Yeah.
talked about in an interview that the show initially was greenlit and pitched to be 5 seasons long. But that based on some changes that they
What?
recently did, they have now shortened it, but are confirmed for 3 seasons,
Oh,
which is still exciting
I was
to me.
not
That's
far.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting that they're
That's
again,
great.
not even into the first. The
Well,
most confidence
I
you
can't
can ever
even
have.
picture what they're gonna have what they would have for 5 seasons.
This is like what I felt,
which I
when-
love because I'm like,
I
I have no
know.
idea where they're going.
I
with this.
remember
or how
that-
far back we're going? Where are we
Yeah.
starting?
I remember that before the first episode of Better Call Saul, it was like the day before the first episode, they already announced a season 2 is coming, and I'm like, that just gives you the most confidence ever for the show. Of like,
right.
they don't even need to wait for audiences. They
Yeah.
know what they've got. They've tested it with some people. They've watched it amongst themselves, and they go, "This is a home run." And so there's so much potential there with Andor. Oh, they confirmed this week that Imperial Guards will be seen in Andor as well. Did you see
Yeah.
that?
Really?
Which also makes you think, how many
Wow.
things could
What
Ian
goes
McDermott-
with that? Ooh.
We have Imperial Guards. What do
Why not?
Imperial Guards guard? Imperial figures. What's an Imperial figure? The Emperor.
Yeah,
Sure.
Spooky
Uh,
lightning.
So
Ooh.
that's all of our little stories for this
Wow.
week. But
That's
a couple
news.
of fun news things that are a little bit Kenobi related, and then a little bit more future stuff with Andor before we dive into
Nice.
all things Kenobi.
If we do a news segment, can we call it "This is the news you're looking for"?
Ooh, I
Next
like
time we
that.
do a news segment,
Oh.
I like that.
this is
This is
so dumb.
This is the news. This is the news you're looking for. Everything will just be so on the nose.
This is the podcast. You're
This
looking
is the
for.
podcast you're looking for. Like my
This is the
quote.
news you're looking for.
The Star Wars Guys podcast. You'll never find a more wretched eye of scum and villainy. The best quotes are when you just completely take a quote and you just add something to it.
Put you in the beginning.
Just put it. And then
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, this is genius. Like, no, it's really not.
No, it's not at
It's
all.
not at all. It's the opposite.
So good.
John Williams is
So
genius. You're a hack. That's it.
Great.
Having said that,
All
like and
right.
subscribe
All right.
if you want to hear more of the podcast. And yeah.
Yeah.
So Nate, you want to
Kenobi.
transition to
All things Kenobi. All right. I think we start with maybe first introductions to Obi-Wan, the character, and
Yeah.
then we'll go and do a kind of synopsis of the journey from chronological when we first see him all the way up to the show and then past the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess starting with old Ben, right?
Ben.
This could go anywhere. What were your first thoughts on the weird old wizard? Or, I don't know. Well, I mean, for you especially, I guess, watching
Yeah.
New Hope. And
Right.
Did you look at Obi-Wan and think,
Why is the guy from Bridge on the River Kwai
Yes,
dressed in
why is
I
he
was
brown
just
robes?
gonna say.
No, I was only 8, so I hadn't seen
Yeah.
any of those.
but were you like, oh,
I
this
didn't
is
know
a
he was a
cool,
star.
interesting
No.
Jedi? Or was it just like,
I didn't even know what that word was
yeah.
because that's not even a
Yeah.
thing.
That's the thing is you go.
There's
people,
no
it's
context.
hard. It's hard to imagine now.
Right.
That there's a time when even the average person who's not a Star Wars fan goes, Jedi, that's a Star Wars thing, right?
Mhm.
Vader, that's a Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
Yoda,
Wasn't.
that's a Star Wars thing. Not at all.
We didn't. Ben was the
Completely
first
new.
one to tell us what a Jedi. We never knew that
Right.
phrase.
Still one of my favorite scenes is all of the
Yeah.
exposition that Ben
So
gives
great.
in the
Yeah.
hut, talking about the Jedi and lightsabers and
Yep.
Anakin Skywalker and Vader. Oh, it's
The
so
Clone Wars.
good.
So let's. What was your thought, say, post Empire?
Mm-hmm.
Now you've seen some action with Old Ben fighting Vader, some of the Force abilities, the being able to speak, Force project as a ghost, maybe.
Yep.
So I guess that's more. Well, yeah, I guess Empire, and then more so in Return.
Mm-hmm.
Were those traits that you looked at and was like, oh, this he's the Did you look at he is the Jedi, and then Luke was this apprentice coming up?
I do remember not being impressed
Mm.
because I didn't know that was something. I just thought that's something they all can do.
Yeah,
Like the Wicked Witch, you die and she comes back, or
yeah,
so I didn't think it was anything.
The Force Ghost
special.
specifically.
I
Yeah.
thought, when a Jedi dies, he comes back as a
yeah.
Force Ghost.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Didn't realize that was kind of special.
Wouldn't be for
Yeah.
years until we learned that Qui-Gon is the one who's discovered this.
Who
So,
discovered
Yeah.
that it wasn't even a thing,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
It was. I wasn't. I mean, he didn't do anything really overly impressive, right?
Yeah.
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 He's an old guy. He's got a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge and wisdom. The character of Old Ben seemed very patient,
Mm. Yeah.
which I don't. It's interesting how that will play in, because I do remember him with Han Solo is ridiculing the hokey religions and
Yep.
ancient
Yeah.
superstitions are no match for good blasters. You're a sad kid. I've seen a lot of straight stuff. I haven't seen anything. And Obi-Wan just looks at him and just goes back to helping Luke.
Yeah.
And so clearly a patient teacher. But I wasn't like, man, that guy in the white beard is awesome.
Yeah.
Wasn't thinking that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny because
It wasn't until like later. Oh, we're talking prequels where you're like, oh, that's the guy.
That's
oh,
him?
that's the guy.
yeah.
Now your next question
Okay.
is, what happened?
What happened to that guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because you rewatch A New Hope, and I don't remember what my first initial impressions were of. I mean, I was always an old Ben fan. Like, I think that he was never my
Yeah.
favorite character, but he was like up there with
Right.
like.
Yeah, clearly
he
he's
was
got
part of-
something. He's special.
He's special,
And
but
the fact that he is the
yeah.
first character I've ever seen use a lightsaber,
That's yeah.
ever use the Force mind control and
Right.
all
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
move
It's like,
along.
whoa, this is really cool because
He's doing
he
something
did
that no
feel
we
like he was the
Yeah.
door to a larger world.
The
He was the
master.
one who was really explaining all this
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
The first steps, and but it's funny because when you rewatch it, I'm not sure how much I caught of it when I was young, but he's also still has, while he's patient, and I think he is like the ultimate teacher, patient, doing all this stuff. He still has some of this young Obi-Wan little sarcasm or snark or comedy still in there,
Yeah.
which he definitely had heavily in the prequels.
Right.
Like a lot
Yeah.
of it. I mean, the amount of times he's sarcastic with Anakin is just they're bickering back and forth
Yeah.
like brothers and
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Right.
But he has some good lines in A New Hope of just even small things where he's kind of undermining Han.
Yeah.
And like Han's like, you never heard of Millennium Falcon? Should I have?
Should I have?
He just kind of looks at
Yeah.
him and he's like,
Right.
the ship made the Kessler in less than 12 parsecs. And he's just kind of like, okay,
Okay.
big deal. Or like, who is more fool, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Yeah.
Oh, you got me there.
You know, you got me. You're like, old man.
Pulling out the saber in the cantina.
Yeah.
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 That was pretty cool.
That
Very
was cool.
That also immediately
Ponda
shows.
Poor Ponda.
That's one of the first times too that you see like, well, even this old man who doesn't move very quickly, he seems like he's kind of, he immediately when he draws a saber, it shuts everything down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Right.
these guys are roughing up Luke, saber, bang, arms on the thing, and they get out of there and
Right.
that's it. But it's a quick thing of there's a Jedi. And
Mhm.
nobody roughs.
Yeah.
That's
Nobody sees him pull out the lightsaber and goes, "Come on!" Like
Mhm.
that's it. So I just remember thinking like, "Whoa, this is a cool thing I've never seen before."
Yeah.
But it was. I think what stuck with me was the gentle, kind of patient, older guy. Where he always just felt like he was kind of purely on the light, as far as a character. And even in the A New Hope, you don't get a ton of this light versus dark type of stuff that you get a lot more like in Empire and then in the prequels and stuff. But it was where Han is a good guy who's very rough around the edges, and it's sometimes you're like, is he being a jerk, or is he's been through some stuff? Is he this? It was just like you knew what you were getting with old Ben. But you knew that he knew more than he was always telling people.
Yes.
But you knew if there's a side and there's a light in the dark, he's easily on the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, oh, that's a
good guy.
Staple of the light side.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I don't. Might be controversial. All my prequel lovers out there that love Obi-Wan. I like Obi-Wan's character, and I'm really excited for the show. And he is.
This is a great lead-in to the show. This is
but I hate him.
But he was never.
Don't get me wrong. I like him, but I hate him.
He was never.
Not like
Excuse me. He's a great guy, a great Jedi, but
I like those whose apprentices don't burn alive. Am I right? Okay. Okay. I prefer apprentices who don't burn.
No, but he was always just kind of in the middle of the pack for me. He was never my favorite, but he was never like my least favorite either. I always liked him. I thought he was a great Jedi.
Talking about prequels or Alec Guinness or both?
Both, I guess. Both. Yeah.
See,
just the character in general.
I think it's a testament to Obi-Wan because he's not. You don't get highs and lows. You don't get this.
Yeah. I would say
straight, man.
when I really started liking him was Episode 3, and I saw how powerful he was actually going up against Anakin, and arguably his, maybe not quite his strongest suit when he becomes Vader. You could argue maybe we'll see him at his strongest power in this series. Maybe I don't know with Darth
sounds
Vader.
Like,
but
very
sounds like we might see Anakin at his prime in the series. But when you see him confront Anakin and win the way he did, I was like, okay, now Obi-Wan can handle himself. He's not just this.
Well, he beat Anakin in his prime in 3.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, okay, like that was when I really started liking Obi-Wan a lot more. But even in Episode 1 and Episode 2, I liked him, but he was never like, I never really felt like that attached to like, oh, Obi-Wan's by far my favorite. Like I liked Ewan McGregor as the actor,
right?
But the actual character itself, I was like, oh, he's a good Jedi, but he was not like in the first one, I was like, oh, I like Qui-Gon, like I loved Qui-Gon. So like he was never like my favorite of the movies. Like even when knowing Anakin was bad, I still liked how he was the chosen one, how he was strong, how he was kind of like I kind of resonated with those things. I thought it was kind of cool.
Wow.
But since then, looking back and seeing him compete with Anakin and being able to defeat him on Mustafar, I've kind of grown to like him even more and more the more I've rewatched it. But I don't know. I guess my first viewing initially was never. I didn't dislike him. I still really liked him, but he was not like some people are like, he's my favorite character. He's the best thing about Star Wars, and that's just the character. Obviously, Ewan McGregor as an actor portraying the character I really like. I thought he was arguably the best thing about the sequels or the prequels.
Yeah,
but the character itself, I always thought was good, but not maybe my favorite.
Clone Wars helped.
Clone Wars helped,
great.
To flesh out the character.
And I think Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme,
oh man,
Dooku. I think all those characters are so, and
out.
Obviously Maul because it's a continuation of the story. But all those characters that are just that we knew we were going to get in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Because they end up in Revenge of the Sith film. All of those all those 4 characters, I think, are all just so much more fleshed out.
Yeah,
it's just it's
I thought of something interesting when we were talking about. I never thought about this in New Hope. So, Obi-Wan's hiding out on Tatooine. The first sign of a Jedi would be a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He finds Luke. They set off on their mission. Cantina, lightsaber, full on lightsaber battle, kills somebody with the saber right there.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, a lot of time has passed. But Obi-Wan is not hiding anymore.
No.
That's past.
No.
And I don't know if that was intentional with the timing, because as the story plays itself out, we flesh out more of the reasons why he's there. But We've already
That
talked
is-
about on the show. He's going to have moments where he could, but he doesn't.
True.
Because he doesn't want to give himself away. So in 4, he's already thinking,
That's such a good point.
He's at the
I'm
point where
done
I'm
hiding.
Yeah.
That's such a good
That's
point because
true.
I've never really
Interesting.
thought about the fact
That's true.
that, especially now that we know, especially now that we knew Anakin knew that Obi-Wan got away because obviously they fight on Mustafar. He gets away.
Right.
How long until he calls off the dogs? How long did he calls off the Inquisitors? Him looking for Obi-Wan? Like, they definitely don't make it look or appear in 4 when he sees Vader. He's like, I finally found you. Like, it's not that type of thing. It's not like I've been looking for you. It's like I stopped looking for you.
Right.
It's more of
You just made me
once you
think of
find out once you find out Luke's available and Luke's out there, that's when the hunt goes for Luke.
Yeah.
But man, it is interesting, especially because we know that in this show they are hunting Jedi, which is going to fill some of that missing piece too of their hunting Jedi. We know that he's available. We know that these two have a rematch. They have a clash. What possibly happens in this fight that not only does neither of them die, but also Vader kind of resigns to the fact that, like, I'm also done looking for you. Like is it something that Obi-Wan, that Ben just defeats him so badly that he's like, I'm not going after him anymore because it's not a good match for me? Or is it something that happens that Ben tries to reach him or tries to do something to him that maybe Obi-Wan thinks he failed and thinks that that's because Obi-Wan also closes something happens in their encounter that Obi-Wan once thought as you did. Like, that Obi-Wan clearly is going to try to
redeem him.
Try to thinks, because that's the last thing we get from Padme talking to Obi-Wan, that there's still good in him, all of this stuff, and he knows that.
I mean, he was probably thinking if anybody can get to him, it'd be me, who's basically
because that's Padme's dying wish essentially is like, don't give up on him. Like, even though he's gone through, there's still good in him, and that's why I can't wait to see what actually. Because what's great is it's such a thing that my mind is spinning that I also can't think of like a good answer of like what is this encounter, like what is the fact that they went out on a limb and was like, we're gonna have a rematch. I'm like, interesting that they're actually going to like clash sabers and fight again,
man,
because I really do think that more than just the battle itself, which is probably going to be really cool, is like what will be said. Like this, it's all about what is said here. What character?
What's the emotional state? Because
we know what's in Obi-Wan's mind as far as like we know that in the show and leading up to it and everything. One, he feels guilt over over everything that's happened. He said, the war's over. We lost this whole thing that they talk about, but also guilt over what happened to Anakin. But then also the words of Padme. He now is trying to speak some sense into Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin is probably in that, doesn't want to feel fractured by what's going on, similar to like a Ben Solo type of a Kylo thing of like the only way to go darker is I gotta keep killing, I gotta keep doing this, I can't be on the fence. But what happens that causes them both to survive this fight, but both goes their separate ways where Ben is no longer after Vader either. Like they don't end, and Ben's, old Ben's not like, well, we just got to come up with a plan where I can get all the Jedi back. We'll go after him. It's like that's not his plan, and Obi-Wan's like, and Vader's like, that's not my plan. Going after Ben either. Just so much about that encounter, and that's gonna be there's so much that's gonna go on the show with Inquisitors and all this other stuff and Luke but just that encounter, I can't wait.
Thinking of all
that
these,
happens.
I'm thinking of all these different angles.
I know.
How did Leia get to know that? How'd you hear the story about Ben, Obi-Wan Kenobi with her father and the Clone Wars?
Organa
told the stories of this great
we got Jimmy
Obi-Wan
Smits. Jimmy Smits is supposed to be in the show.
So we're
gonna get
a
young Leia.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, at least likely.
You both made me think too, because like when you were saying, what could happen, it started making me think, why aren't they after
we're already
him anymore?
merging our story with character story already because we just can't help it.
Can't help it.
But
which is great.
You mentioned them not being after Obi-Wan anymore and vice versa. It made me think, what happens to the Inquisitors as an organization?
We don't see
Is
any
it possible we
Inquisitors in
see
New
a
Hope.
conclusion to that to the Inquisitors in this. Now we've seen some of the death of some of the Inquisitors throughout Rebels.
Yeah.
And even in like Fallen Order, some of these other canon, mediums. But the actual organization as a whole were all of them, because there's not a single one in the original series. So at some point they're all either taken out, or maybe even Vader just like he's like, you guys aren't working, just takes them out.
Vader
himself.
has to kill him.
Or makes me
it
think
feels like it.
You can't. They're
like
too powerful.
what?
They can't be.
Doesn't it feel?
If they don't do if they're not doing that, they're.
It feels like.
But
what
you
it
made me
feels
think
like
too
a
was,
Gus Fring of like, you worked with me until like, but you know too much.
You know way too much. You're too
way
powerful.
too much. I have to.
But it
Thank
made
you for
me
your service.
think, is
hop in the
Obi-Wan,
cab and then we get
is
him.
Obi-Wan part to play in this? Because
Oh,
they're after
yeah.
Obi-Wan.
I
Maybe
think
he
he'll help a
does
little
take.
bit. He'll take a couple out.
He takes a couple out, but is it possible that I don't know? You just got me thinking. Like, does he play a part in putting an end to the Inquisitors, or do they all just fail to the point where Vader's just like, you can't get one Jedi? What good are you? And then he takes him.
I can't remember.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like what? And
I
maybe
need
we
to
don't even see a conclusion to the.
I need to quickly
Inquisitors, but-
rewatch Rebels before this, because I can't remember. I'm trying to think time-wise of how this show lines up with Rebels, because obviously we know Grand Inquisitor, and we get his story arc.
He's
and
in
everything.
this, and we see the
we
finish
see
of
him
his
in
story
Rebels.
arc.
So that's
We
what I'm
see
saying,
the
is
conclusion
part
of his story.
So
in
part
Rebels,
of Rebels is past
It's
this,
Yes.
but I can't remember what happens to the other Inquisitors in Rebels. Is what I'm saying.
I think Rebels is closer to. Rebels essentially leads all the way up to.
Here's the.
But I'm
New
saying
Hope.
is how far in Rebels? I can't remember. Do you remember how far in Rebels we are continuing to see Inquisitors? Because we don't see them like in the final season or anything like that. I don't think when it's like Thrawn and everything. So I'm trying to remember if there is an end to the Inquisitors in Rebels. Which
I'll have to
remember.
rewatch. I'll have
I
to
rewatch.
can't remember. There's so much of that show, and
I know we
that
see
back
the
to
end
back
of
with
some.
Clone
I
Wars.
don't know if we see the end of like all of them.
Yeah, I
They
don't-
just kind of
there-
went away. We don't know
That's
that
what I'm
they're
saying.
done.
Is I don't think there was like a big.
Like
Yeah.
I wonder, I wonder if we'll see some like what do they call the like Inquisitorious their like Inquisitorious place where that's in the water. Like that's in Fallen Order,
they've
and then
shown
we
that
saw
in
it in
the
the
trailers.
trailer. We saw it. I wonder if we see that like get blown up, or like something like that. That's
Puts
a
an end to
big hit on the Inquisitors or something. I don't know, but
Yeah. So, Uncle, going back to our experience with Obi-Wan, because again, I was old enough that I watched the original trilogy, and for about 3, and was able to sit with those and obsess over those for like 3 years before Phantom Menace.
Prequels,
So watch the originals, and then Phantom Menace prequels come out in 99. Upon seeing the trailers, or upon just news, or just even maybe your first viewing of Phantom Menace, when we get young Obi-Wan, was it immediately like an exciting thing to think like, oh, we'll finally get some young Obi-Wan stuff? Is that something you were looking forward to, or was it something that was like, oh, cool, well, like, is it something you were wanting more of? Or like wanting more of going into it, or is it something that was kind of like, cool, I'm kind of more focused on the Anakin thing, but it's cool that we're getting Obi-Wan? Or do you remember at all what your feelings were initially?
It felt like it felt inevitable, like this has to be part of it.
Yeah.
But I was so fixated on Vader,
Yeah.
on that storyline. And that's kind of the thing about Obi-Wan that's interesting. He's never been like the top dog in the story.
Yeah.
He's even though parts of the movies he does.
yeah,
Just taking on Grievous.
Luke's the
Right.
Original trilogy
he
is
helps
Luke's
take
trilogy.
on Dooku.
He's
Yeah.
second to Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
And
kind of
then
second
Anakin
to
is-
Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Second to
And
Qui-Gon.
then even though he kills Maul,
In Phantom
and then,
Menace, he definitely takes a backseat to Qui-Gon.
and then
for sure.
even though he's teaching Anakin, in my mind,
it's still
Anakin's
Anakin's
driving
the
this
story.
movie.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is secondary again.
Exactly. I guess maybe that's kind of what I meant.
You know,
when that's kind of how I felt.
I'm
watching
excited
it.
about having
But-
him be the thing. So, it felt like Vader it cast such a strong shadow. I was so focused on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Qui-Gon guy, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
What's a Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
What's a Maul? Darth Maul? That was very exciting.
Yeah. You're like a Qui-Gon.
then
I thought we
Obi-Wan
learned that old Ben said Yoda instructed
Yoda. Wait, this is not at all what
Jedi Master instructed me
at some
after
point.
my real master died.
died in my arms.
Yeah.
Right.
In my arms.
So it wasn't like It was cool. Like, oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
see that. It was that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna see that. How that came to be. But it wasn't. It wasn't like
Yeah.
super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
is what it
weird.
is.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
It was
It's
weird.
I liked
Vader casts a big shadow.
Yeah, the whole. I mean,
Yeah.
I just
So,
remember,
that's tough.
even though I was
Excited
young,
about
I
it.
remember when the trailers came out and that first that awesome Phantom Menace poster of just
Yeah.
Jake Lloyd and
Yeah.
then the Vader,
Vader
shadow. I just remember having discussions. I actually remember having discussions with Matt specifically and talking about, and probably with you, Uncle. We were like, this whole trilogy is about how Vader becomes
How
Vader.
becomes
I was
Vader.
like, what? And I just remember
Unbelievable.
that was the only thing I was focused on.
Right.
And it was, I can't believe we get 3 movies about him becoming Vader. And then the speculation
Yeah.
was, well, do you think he turns in the first movie? Does he turn in the second movie?
How
Probably in
long
the
do
second
we
movie
see?
he'll turn, and the third movie is
We'll see
him
him
as Vader and
doing
doing all
stuff.
this. Because there was a lot of that I do remember being surprising of, oh, he's starting a lot younger than I
Yes.
thought. I remember that
Yeah.
I kind of just would have guessed. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I would have guessed that basically we
get
would pick up with Anakin at like Obi-Wan's age of what Obi-Wan was in Phantom Menace. I would have guessed that would have been like
Right. Or Luke's
Yeah.
age.
Anakin.
in
Or
the
Luke's age.
original.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Either.
And when he was really young, I thought, oh, this is not what I expected. Then in Attack of the Clones, it was like, oh, this is more of the age of what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yes.
And then Revenge of the Sith, by the end, he kind of turns, and you're like, dang, he turns, and then we didn't get to see.
to see
I wanted to
it.
see kind of him immediately go hunt the Jedi and do all.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though
Right.
the end and the third act of Revenge of the Sith is so operatic and so huge and awesome, and there's so
Yeah.
much great stuff there.
Right.
It was always like, dang, we had 3
Wanna see him
movies
do
leading
the
up to
stuff.
it, and again, I get why George did it because he wanted to. He did and initially I was kind of like, oh, why'd they do this whole thing of, he's so young in Phantom Menace, but
Right.
it makes the fall so much more tragic when
Yeah.
That was the
you're
idea.
like, this is the cute kid, and that even a kid like this who at that
Yeah.
age had not a shred of
No.
Yeah.
evil
Are
in
you
him
an
or
angel?
anything, and certain people
Funny
kind of
little
push him
boy.
into certain things. And yes. Cold, sir.
Hurt my feelings.
Well, you're not going to be a Jedi. Get off my no.
Yeah.
But
we do really like the guy in the suit though. I would have loved to see the
Yeah.
guy in the suit sooner.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
It
my
would have been
Yeah.
it would have been cool. But
But-
it's.
yeah.
Do you have something?
No, I was just, I mean, yeah. I think-
Obi-Wan is arguably the greatest Jedi hero.
The thing is, he's
Think
so
about everybody
he's
he's
so
taken
consistent.
down.
I just think he.
I mean,
He's
everybody-
so powerful.
everybody
I
he's
remember,
taken
I
I
do
think he
remember that
arguably
blowing
has
me
the
away.
most tragic, and we'll get into this as we start to recap
Yeah.
from the beginning.
A lot
Yeah.
of tragedy
To end.
surrounding Obi-Wan.
But it's almost like I almost look at him like the more I think back to like what he went through, I almost that's why I was kind of mentioning earlier, the more I rewatched the prequels and dove into his character more, I started liking him more and more
Mhm.
because I realized that looking back at all the tragedies that he's gone through and to still remain the hopeful Jedi that he was, it's like that much more
How?
impressive.
Right.
It's like how like he's gone through everything.
Mhm.
Imagine, I mean, essentially everything Anakin went through and more,
Mhm.
and didn't turn.
Mhm.
It's like he lost someone that he loved in
Mhm.
Satine, arguably his best friend,
He
or brother in Anakin.
Unlike any other, maybe except for Yoda, he forsook all attachments, and even with Satine, held
Yeah.
that back. Didn't
And even when that
Give
time
in.
came, he even knew
right.
the idea was, if you say the word, I will go with you, but I have to leave the order.
But I
I can't do both.
Can't do both.
I
It's a
can't do
choice.
both.
And
If you want me to, I will go,
That's
but I
right.
can't do this too because
do
it
it.
just won't work well that
he was
way.
adhering to the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
of the Jedi fully, or not at all.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, also one of the things that does really attract me to him now looking back at the full scope of Obi-Wan and why I'm so excited for this show is that he seems like a very he's a very inspirational character as far as there's some characters you're like, okay, I get, Mace Windu, not super inspirational to me. Even I think he's cool. Like there's
Mhm.
stuff down there's cool. Obi-Wan, though, I think because we get so much of the things he went through and the tragedy and the heartbreak and the fall and all this stuff, to know what he comes out on the other side and to know that he is this dedicated, like we're talking about, he's just unwavering in his.
Yeah.
And again, I think we get some, which is great, is I think we will get some of the wavering or some of just the self-doubt and maybe questioning of things in this upcoming series.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they have described this as, understandably so, kind of Obi-Wan at his lowest, or as far as just really obviously down.
Yeah.
The whole galaxy is flipped on its head because of what's gone down. But throughout all this, we do know that what he ends up doing is literally dedicating the rest of his life to protecting Anakin's son. Which, when you don't really think about it, too, you think of like Luke. I haven't spent a lot of time of thinking of the fact that he's doing this for Anakin's son.
Yeah.
And like that's not just protecting our hope of like the next Jedi and we need him because he's a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
This is also him doing this for Anakin's son, because the Anakin that he knows and the Anakin he loves is gone. But he knows the Anakin he knows and loves was his best friend and was his apprentice and his buddy and
Padme too. I'm sure he's thinking
Padme,
of
and that he's doing this for Anakin because he knows that if Anakin was in the right headspace, like this is what he would do for him. And
Can I throw a weird, crazy thought out there?
No.
On this podcast?
Is that cool?
Think about it. Think about this, though. This might be controversial.
Ooh, I like it.
Think about this. Obi-Wan is watching Luke. What's going to happen if Vader finds Luke? What's Obi-Wan's choices? He's got to kill him.
Yes, kill him.
Yeah. Luke, you
Has
mean?
to.
Luke. He has to kill Luke. He cannot let this child be taken into Vader to become an apprentice and start this whole thing again. What's he going to do?
Ooh.
Seriously, he's watching from afar. If they close in and he can't save Luke, and what's he going to do? Now, it's not in his nature to kill him, but
I mean, I guess the only thing would be to lay down.
This is the Luke dilemma from
What
The
is
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Do I prevent something
That's
from
right.
happening?
I guess
that's right.
I would like to think that he would go out. He would die defending Luke, protecting Luke, and fighting Vader, and he would fail. He would die. That's what I would predict would happen.
Or Vader.
Because he's sitting there watching with
Or Vader.
watching him, but not like watching.
Or Vader invites Luke back into his starship. They're taking off, and his starship has an accident on the way. And you look at Obi-Wan sitting there
that was unfortunate.
with a Tuscan rifle and shoots, and then Obi-Wan goes,
"Oh, Obi-Wan pulls a Hold'em."
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
Pulls a Hold'em maneuver. Someone in chat, hey, thanks for tuning in. Someone mentioned turn up the mics. Are the mics quiet?
Oh, are they quiet?
I don't know.
My mic is on full.
My mic is also hello there.
I can see yellow and red.
Calrissian.
Well. I thought I was talking pretty loud, but how about you come over and have a nice game of sabacc?
Okay.
No, thanks for the tip. We'll
right.
try to speak up for sure.
Keep an eye.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us know.
So when we're talking about the journey of Obi-Wan as a character, and we know kind of where he started, apprentice to quiet, or as far as where he started. Again, there's more in some of the novels, and
we're gonna get any flashbacks of young Obi-Wan.
This is actually kind of where I'm going.
Child Obiwan.
We get some de-aged Hayden Christensen. They already confirmed that.
They did confirm that.
They confirmed that. So maybe we do get some old.
We're gonna get some Clone Wars, some live action Clone
we
Wars
have to.
era stuff.
Well, I'm wondering if we get do we get Obi-Wan
before prequels?
Actor, child actor Obi-Wan
you're talking
story.
Pre-Phantom Menace.
Way back.
Oh boy,
we don't know anything about where'd Obi-Wan come from?
Boom. That's what I'm saying.
I want that TV show.
You remember the?
Why couldn't that be? And
Obi-Wan as a youngling.
Why couldn't we have? Why couldn't we have Chapter 1 story? Chapter 2.
Got it.
5 years later.
We're gonna find out he's a Palpatine.
10 years
well,
later.
This is actually.
Just take us.
This is
through the
actually
whole.
How mad would people be?
Well, he's a
Palpatine.
He's burying sabers in the dust.
Well, he's actually.
What's your last name?
By the end of it,
I think Star Wars fandom would just go up in flames.
By the end,
Kenobi teen.
Ben who?
Ben Skywalker.
Twin
We're
Suns
just
force
joking
theme
because we
credits
actually really
roll.
like the Rise of Skywalker, but that's just something that the
Love
internet would
it.
explode.
The internet would.
If
Oh my
Obi-Wan-
gosh,
Obi-Wan-
it'd be fun.
If Obi-Wan, who we've already seen later, is Ben
His
Kenobi,
parents.
No,
in the
it's
middle
not. It's
identifies
Kenobi.
as Skywalker.
Kenobi.
Oh
Could you
boy.
imagine?
The one, which is funny, is this is actually
It's not anybody with that accent. It's Palpatine.
anyone who's British.
Any
man.
British accent is a Palpatine.
Tarkin, British.
Right. Hey.
Leia for 30 seconds in A New Hope, British.
British.
That's when I was brought on
Palpatine.
board. any bad guy in the originals was always British. That's what,
It was great. Yeah, it was the
it's
British
because
Imperial.
George is a racist against Brits. Yeah, they're all egotistical.
That's
and
great.
arrogant.
Yeah,
No,
when
I don't know why-
he talks Carrie out of lose a British accent. They're gonna immediately think you're evil. Well, why is that, George?
He didn't even
no,
notice.
Well, for that take, it was
He
fine though
didn't
because you were
even
mad.
notice.
That's great.
Faust
The,
I was brought on board.
The interesting thing about there was a theory. I remember because I was listening to a Star Wars podcast a while ago talking about.
Wait, there's other Star Wars podcasts?
I meant another episode of ours. Duh. No. But there was a fun podcast. It was a Force Center podcast, and one of the hosts, Ken Knapsack, was going through some old like sci-fi magazine from 1996 that he still owns.
You mean
Yeah.
Kylo Ken?
Kylo Ken.
Those are
Yeah.
cool.
And he was
I've
talking
seen him
about it was
talk
like
about those.
sci-fi magazine, like 1996. This was George has announced Phantom Menace. He's working on the script, and this was the first article that was written by I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a guy making his first predictions on what he thought each of the prequel movies would be about.
Oh my gosh.
And it's so fascinating because
Oh my
there's a
goodness.
lot the guy actually somehow gets pretty accurate, and then some that's like that would have been really cool, but it's way off. And
Yeah.
it's because this is before there's even a trailer for
Right,
Phantom
we don't-
Menace. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, we know it's going to be Obi-Wan, or we know there's Obi-Wan's going to be in it. Anakin's going to be in it. We know that this Clone Wars, everyone is
It's gonna
going to
be a
in
part of it.
And he predicted like the titles. And I think the
Oh, I
first
do
title-
remember this. I
the
remember
first
this.
title he said was The Clone Wars or something. It was like, I predict it will start with
Start
the
with the
Clone
Clone
Wars
Wars. That makes
because they
sense.
keep talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But also this
Yeah.
Clone Wars was like, we didn't know who was on what side even of like,
What,
we just
were
knew
the-
that my
what are
father
these
fought
clones?
the Clone Wars. He wrote that it's obviously the Jedi's against these clones, and it's like these evil clones that are supposed
Yeah.
to be like,
Wow.
and it was like supposed to be like Boba Fett type of warriors
Yeah.
and these type of things.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
all of this thing, like because he didn't know that like the clones would be fighting with the Jedi. He
Right.
was like he fought in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But one of the big reveals that he predicted, and obviously didn't come close to coming true, but it was interesting,
Anakin.
was that Obi-Wan would be revealed that Obi-Wan Kenobi was a clone, and that it's his original name was
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
One.
And it was like I don't even know if it went into a like original batch 1, original batch 2, and like it was like
Ooh.
all of this
Oh my
like
gosh.
purebred cloning stuff that actually ties all the way back to the Clone Wars, and that a big reveal would be that
Old Ben.
Obi-Wan, old Ben, who we know is actually a clone this whole time.
Yeah.
And that it would just add this whole different element to the Clone Wars and maybe even Anakin fighting
Do we
alongside
know
Obi-Wan.
this
It's like
didn't
him fighting
happen?
alongside.
We haven't seen his.
We
But
haven't.
I just remember hearing that and thinking, wow, that's
Maybe
a really
he is.
cool. I don't hear a ton of Star Wars theories that I've like completely out of nowhere never
Yeah.
heard before, or like,
Obi-Wan.
or that I just think like,
I
oh,
like
that would
it.
have been really cool. That was one that I was like, oh, that's just an interesting little side thing. So
It-
you're
you
talking
know-
about what we could find
I
out
like
of
it.
Obi-Wan, and you said being a Palpatine, so maybe he's a clone.
Maybe he's a clone.
He's a clone.
Think
child.
about the names though. Like you're Qui-Gon Jinn, you would think that sounds like an Asian name.
yeah,
It's not.
for sure.
Now it
Yeah.
goes with the Jedi, which I know
Yes.
George Lucas based on Samurai,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
is.
it definitely
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then Obi-Wan is
Obi-Wan.
Kenobi.
Yeah.
That sounds like a little
Yeah.
Japanese.
It definitely does.
So I would be interested to know where his family. How did that name?
Yeah.
What? Was he actually from?
Yeah.
Do we even know that? Like,
We haven't gotten,
I think it
to
would
my
be,
knowledge, we haven't gotten like any backstory on. And again, there might be some comics or novels. I haven't heard anything of young child
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. I know there's some books
Maybe
that are
people don't
around
wanna
Phantom
know
Menace
that.
and a little bit ahead, a little bit before Phantom Menace,
Yeah,
Master and
with
Apprentice.
Master and Apprentice. Yeah.
and then the new one that just came out like this week, Brotherhood. which I need to go get because people are speculating that this Brotherhood is released. It comes out either this. I know that a lot of the people who have gotten it,
show.
a lot of people who review these books have gotten it like a week early, but it maybe comes out on like May 4th or something.
Oh,
like that. People are thinking that this is intentionally released before Obi-Wan, and not necessarily that there's going to be like a specific big reveal,
but
that
just to
changes
add
things,
more context to it. Yeah.
Add more context and possibly play into whatever flashbacks they're going to have. Could be surrounding something that happens in this Brotherhood book, and it's an Anakin and Obi-Wan book is what this is.
man.
So be cool.
Talk about Obi-Wan taking a back seat to everybody else. Is he going to take a back seat in his own show to Luke?
Well, no, I
Yeah.
heard we're actually going to
Vader.
jump.
It's
I heard
Anakin.
we're going to jump to a couple Mando episodes.
In the
There'll be a
middle of
Boba
this,
Fett
there'll be
episode right in the middle.
in the middle of this. I did see,
Grogu shows up.
I saw a funny tweet that was like, do we think that Obi-Wan will be in every single episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi? I don't know. Boba Fett wasn't.
There could be an
We'll
entire
see.
Vader episode. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's been different quotes around.
I don't think it will be,
I
but
think they're trying to. I don't think Vader's going to be like in. Vader's probably not even going to be in every episode.
I'm not watching it.
But
Forget it. Shut it
but
down.
I also
Shut
think.
it down.
But I also
Cancel.
think that he's going to be in it a lot. So
Based on the quotes,
the reason why I say that is the
Based
fact
on the
that
quotes,
they
yeah.
promoted it when they first made the announcement of Ewan McGregor's coming back and Hayden Christensen is coming back and it's going to be the rematch of the century. They didn't say like, oh, and by the way, the rumors have come out that Hayden's going to be a part of this. It was like we're
Yeah.
promoting it from the start.
Yeah.
Hayden's starting to get back in
they're
Star
definitely
Wars.
They
making it
gotta
feel
deliver.
like an Obi-Wan Vader.
It doesn't
Obi-Wan
feel like
Vader,
it's
You
going to
gotta
be
a-
deliver
yeah.
that.
yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to be like, oh, he'll be in one or two scenes. I feel like he's really going to be a part of it a lot.
I think so too.
But I do think it's the Obi-Wan show. I don't think that's going to be necessarily like
Yeah.
him the whole time, then him the whole time. I do think there's
Mhm.
going to be a decent amount of Vader. Maybe
Yeah.
Vader's you get like the Vader's castle and all of this stuff on Mustafar, which
Yeah.
would be pretty
Man,
cool.
I want a castle.
You know what?
We don't get enough castles these days.
Star Wars
You
guys
don't get it.
castle.
We really don't.
That would be
Guys,
awesome.
I know sometimes you guys do, ask, do you have a P.O. box? Do you have this? All I ask for
Is a castle.
is a castle. If you could send us a castle, if there's a castle, I should say, if there's a castle you're not using or wish you could get more use out of, let us know.
I read about a thing that, like, no, I did. You can buy like a villa in Italy for like $1.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
They do have like these castles that are all run down you can buy in like Scotland.
I would buy a rundown castle tomorrow.
Let's go to Transylvania.
Just to name it Vader
Transylvania, I love
Castle
it.
Oh, that'd be
officially.
awesome. Star Wars Guys Castle.
Star Wars guys
Love it.
castle.
We would do every podcast from the Star Wars Guys. We're coming to you live from the Star Wars
Wars
Guys.
Guys.
castle.
Heck, for all you know, that's where we are right now.
From the Star Wars guys' castle in
Show the-
Transylvania, and we'll all talk like Dracula.
Welcome to the Star Wars Guys podcast.
We want to suck your blood and
We want
also
to-
make predictions.
Predictions. You will watch this
You will.
podcast.
Oh man.
That's great.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
The journey of Obi-Wan.
The journey. So
How
We
far are
will
we going to
start-
get? I'm curious to know how far we're going to get in this series.
I saw a funny
Yeah.
Do you know
tweet that
rumors like
said-
where it's going to take us
Where it will
up
end?
to?
Yeah.
That's the thing is what I'm excited for these shows and why I think these shows have shown like they can expand different. What I'm excited about having the de-aging stuff as far as saying that they're going to do flashbacks or do anything
Yeah.
like that is that we also haven't gotten any confirmation as to how far they will go.
Right.
Like you said, he could be looking
We could hear new
white hair.
conversations.
He could be looking
Oh, yeah.
very
Right.
like he could be looking
Yeah.
very close to Alec Guinness by the time, and that would just be so cool to see. I mean, it's really that period of young Luke stuff, and like even just a couple years before A New Hope, we haven't really gotten much of that,
Mm-mm.
and especially not surrounding Obi-Wan. I mean, we've had like Rogue One, and we have those type of movies that are surrounding the specifics of the rebellion, but I just love it because I feel like this is a good area where they have a lot of. We know where Obi-Wan ends up, we know where Luke ends up, but there's a lot of breathing room where we don't know what happens
Yeah.
in this time period.
I'm still predicting that we'll get some Vader vision, like haunting visions
You're
of
thinking
his
of Padme.
past,
Yeah.
of his past when he's in like the back to tank and stuff with like
Mhm.
maybe his suit is off but he's in the back to tank and like that's an opportunity to show Hayden Christensen not as DH flashback, but actually as like the scarred Vader.
Makeup, yeah.
Because that's like really essentially the only time we would potentially see him without the mask on. Like he's not just really just gonna take it off and be walking around without the mask because he needs it. So like, but if it's to get in the back to tank, then they're like, okay, that makes sense because he could still have
He's in the chamber.
stuff on, or he's in the chamber. And I think if we get some like haunting flashbacks of Padme, or even his battle on Mustafar, just his hatred for Obi-Wan, like that, what if that's the start of the show? Is Vader's got these flashbacks to that stuff, and it cuts when we're on Tatooine with Obi-Wan.
Man,
like I don't know. I think there's an opportunity there to use Hayden Christensen, show him a little bit of the scarred up Vader still, and I don't know.
I would love to see. You know what I would love to see? Here's what I want to see. Talking about the journey of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want to see the flashback. And this is going to happen.
I love it.
I want to see Obi-Wan Kenobi mentoring a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old Anakin in lightsaber training.
Yeah.
Couldn't we see that? And we can then.
And that's the DH.
That's the DH. It's like this tall.
It's just his face on a little child.
But we could have a different character. We could have a different. Yeah. I don't know how they would do it, but
different actor.
Luke Skywalker's walking around. He's 18.
Yeah, that's true.
But wouldn't that be to? I just thought we would be able to take, because there always felt like a little bit of an edge to their relationship. It felt.
Yeah.
We felt the clashing more often than the connecting.
Yeah, we didn't get a ton of the brotherhood
because
stuff
it was designed.
We saw that in Clone Wars.
That's right.
Not in live action.
Not in live action. But if we see those moments where they're close, that could be.
So on that note, did you guys see? I think I sent it in our group chat. Did you guys see the headline of Hayden Christensen said that he binge watched all of
I did
Clone Wars and Rebels to prepare for the role.
That's awesome.
I love that.
And
I love that.
I saw some people that are like, they saw that and said that's hilarious. Just envisioning Hayden sitting through some of the lesser episodes of like he's just sitting there and it's one that's like,
this is what they've done to my character.
Hayden's not even in it and he's watching the Aqualish and the he's watching the calamari having this big underwater battle and he's just like
chlorine,
he's like trying to stay awake and he's just sitting there watching it and stuff. Like he's like, I'm sorry, I'm studying for my next role. And he's sitting there and he's watching all this stuff. You're watching Jar Jar. What was the one episode?
Man.
It's Hayden flipping through the essentials on Disney Plus. So I'm in this one.
Okay, there we
watch
go.
This one. Doesn't sound anything like me.
I still don't like son.
I love the fact that he actually. I saw in that same article it said that Ewan went back and watched all 9 of. It was funny. He said, I went back and watched all 9 of the Star Wars movies, and then the person who wrote it said, "Sorry, Solo and Rogue One." It says
it's actually more than 9.
But
yeah,
he said that he had never watched the prequels since they've come out. This is what Ewan said.
Just because.
And I know there's a lot of actors who do that, who are like they spent so much time making it, and especially for someone like
part
him,
of that due to the criticism.
Part of the
cringy.
Yeah. And even though he's great, I mean, he's great in it as far as this wasn't even Hayden, this was Ewan. I think it's just I'm sure a lot of these people too also have mixed feelings about the hate that they got for it. Yeah. And about like it
there's an interview with him talking about it.
He said that he loves
recently
now that the generation was kind of made for, the ones who are becoming adults now, and
are
how
starting
there is
to appreciate
this new love of this new wave of appreciation for it.
Yeah, because he said honestly it was tough. Like when that came out, all the hate that we got for it, we wasn't like
right.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth for Star Wars, even though you're the one that's in it. You're like, it's not.
Yeah, and he's like, we had so much fun.
We had so much fun, but it's not.
Excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with you people?
And he's like, but
that's
so it's exciting to see him go back and rewatch and watch some of the stuff. He also he's like, I also wanted to watch when we were talking about Hayden said specifically he watched those because he's like, I want to get a full scope of where the character is now. Like the character I played
is not the same.
was the character,
Yeah.
but there's stuff past
We're
that.
past
There's
that
stuff that I need to know that's essential to my relationship with Obi-Wan, to my relationship with Padme. So this stuff that's happening that I love that he didn't just go like, listen, I played the role. This is following a movie
Anakin.
This is following a movie I just
My
did.
character.
Yeah, he's like, this is
is
following a movie I just did. I mean, I did 20 years ago, but this is live action following. I know the character. I did the character before this. Instead, he's like, I want to be up to date and fill it. And so I just love that he watched all that. It's great.
It also might give you some
great.
insight that the scope may be more grand than just after episode 3.
Yeah.
I
Could
will
be
say
a bit grander than that. Or
That's
the
why, like,
scope
some of these-
is there
like,
we
what if we-
needed to know the
What
whole
if we
scope.
get a flashback of even Satine, like a live action Satine?
For sure.
is there also
Obi-Wan's thinking back to all
why
the
not?
tragedies that have happened.
guys? We also know that he's been confirmed to be in the Ahsoka series. Is this not also homework because he has no idea who Ahsoka is
Doesn't even know
without
the
watching
character-
those?
Right.
Yeah.
And
He
it's
better.
essential that Anakin and Ahsoka.
He's never had a closer
has to
relationship,
know.
really.
Yeah. He has to know
Yeah,
exactly.
there's
I
no
mean,
reason why Ahsoka couldn't be in this. And in some of the flashbacks, at least.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Good, but we will.
with
But
Obi-Wan.
we will obviously in
Definitely in
Ahsoka's
her,
show.
yeah.
We'll definitely get a
Yeah.
ton of. We'll get Hayden in that, and so he had to watch Clone Wars and Rebels to even know who Ahsoka is,
Goodness.
Yeah.
and then find out their relationship and everything. It seems like it's essential homework for. It seems like for the Obi-Wan show, he could get by and do
Sure.
a
Just based off
rendition
the
on
history
previous
from
stuff.
the prequels.
But it's definitely better that he had.
But
had
for
watched
Ahsoka,
it.
how
But
could
for
you not?
Ahsoka,
You
you
have
can't even
to.
get by. You don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know. He'd
Yeah.
be like, "What?" He's like, "I'm walking down the street and people keep saying, what's up, Snips and Sky Guy? I don't know what's he talking about."
mean?
He's like, I don't
I
even know
didn't
what that is,
play.
Master.
I never
I'm sorry,
played a Sky
Master.
I
Guy.
hate nicknames.
I don't know who Sky Guy is.
Let me
I
ask
only
you
know
something
Snips.
Sky guy.
about Obi-Wan's journey. What was Ben's mindset? Because he wasn't looking for Luke in 4. He wasn't looking for him. This droid shows up. Luke's right behind him. There's Luke. Comes back, gets the message.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Ben was he done? Like he was there to watch.
Was he currently watching over Luke though from afar?
Yeah, but was he not like ever expecting?
Was he just waiting for, I guess this is the moment?
Was the goal to
Yeah.
make sure Luke didn't do anything?
That's a good question. Is what is Obi-Wan's?
point?
This is a really good question
Because he
This is
wasn't
think so.
waiting for him to do
What
something.
is
I think it
Obi-Wan's
was-
ultimate goal?
Yes.
Put it this way: was Obi-Wan ever going to intervene at some point and just be like, "You're old enough now. I have to tell." I mean, because if you go by, what's
Go by the
interesting-
Jedi Order,
Go by
they
the
would
Jedi
say
Order.
he's way too old.
He's
This
too
is why
old.
I
He's
do-
not being
Oh,
taught.
this
That's
is
it.
great.
It's
This
over.
is why
He's
in
way-
this show,
yeah.
we talk about how Obi-Wan has clearly met Luke before. Luke has met Obi-Wan before.
Yes.
By the time New
Yeah.
Hope, he knows old Ben.
Big old Ben.
He doesn't know him maybe super well, but
Yeah.
he knows him.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not a stranger when he sees him. Young Luke, what are you doing out this far? Like they know him.
Yep.
He's not like, who are you?
You know, magic.
Is there a
Ooh, you're a wizard, Harry. I mean,
is
You're a
there
wizard,
a
Ben.
moment in this show? Luke's 10 years old.
Yes.
That he's like, he has to be trained now because if he gets old, he becomes
Can't
too
do it.
old.
too old.
He'll be even at 10 years
Yeah.
old. He'd be
10.
older than Anakin,
Mhm.
and they thought
That's
Anakin
too
was
late.
too old.
Or
Um,
is it that he checks in on him and is intentional with
or is he not
seeing
going to train him?
with being able to feel Luke's force sensitivity? Like, is there a moment where he's testing Luke to see, like, have you experienced anything that you think is abnormal? And if Luke's like, no, then he's like, all right, then it's not. Then that's it. We're not gonna. But if Luke's like, yeah, I've got all these, like, this is weird, and I can do this, and I've noticed that my instincts are good, and I can react to these things. Like, I've always had this feeling, kind of like Rey is saying. Then then Obi-Wan's probably more inclined to be like, well, then I should probably work with you and train you and tell you what all this is about. But if Luke's just like never mentions or gives hint that there's
What's
force sensitivity there, then he's
What's-
just like, let's just let it
What's
die.
interesting is
Mm-hmm.
different from Luke, different from Rey. Rey is like something has always been there, and now it's awake. Luke doesn't say anything in
No.
Hope like,
What's
oh
the
yeah, well it's
force?
just like the Force.
Didn't know
He's
anything
not like,
about
oh,
it.
I've always wondered why I can move those moisture evaporators with my mind.
That's right.
He
Yeah,
never
he
has
just
anything like that. He's
never-
never like, oh, that makes sense. That explains this whole gap in my. Luke's
Right.
kind of just like, what? Really?
Exactly.
I can do that?
The
Yeah, if you
Force?
focus, why?
Exactly.
Oh, I can do it. It's not like it's not a Harry Potter explaining. Oh, I've been doing things.
What's
and
been
now
going
I'm
on my whole
explaining what's
life.
been going on.
Yeah.
It's so that's an interesting thing. I wonder because I'm trying to wrap
I
my
don't
head
think he
around
wants
what.
to train him.
I know. I'm trying to
I
wrap
don't
my head
think
around
so
what
either.
the
To
goal
prevent
is.
it.
I think not only does he not want to train him,
Is it
he
just
wants
there
to
to protect him?
intentionally keep him safe,
Keep him
and that's
from
his
it.
goal in life: is keep him safe, keep him out of it. Because think about it, he was tested. The last person he trained was Vader.
Yeah, and
so
I'm not going to do that again.
But
Like
what-
Luke
knowing
decides,
someone
I'm
that
not doing that again.
knowing someone is of his blood, capable of probably being just as strong
I'm
as
going to teach
as
him
Vader.
everything about the Force. He's going to turn to
He's
the dark
gonna-
side.
So he's like, I'm just gonna keep him safe, try and fulfill my promise for Padme, do what I did in failing Anakin, owing it to the Anakin that I remember, not the Vader who he is now,
Yes.
but owing it to the friend that I remember to protect him, but not
Prevent
get him
any-
involved in any
Yeah.
of this, because we should have never even trained Anakin from the beginning.
So what's
That's probably
his
his thought.
confrontation with Uncle Owen? So if he's just there to protect him, clearly he and Owen bump heads. They clash here on
Yeah,
some of this is what's going on. Do we think it's going to come down to Owen being like, listen, if you're saying they're after you and they're after the boy and they don't know that the boy's alive right now,
Then
but
you
think
gotta get
eventually,
outta
well,
here.
you got to get out of here.
I think that
Mhm.
happens.
You're bringing the trouble here. And Obi-Wan's like, yeah, yes, part of that's true, and then maybe that's why he leaves and comes back. But he's also like, but if something does go down, I'm the only one who can help Luke,
yeah.
and I have to be here. Or is it or do we think it is some Obi-Wan meddling, starting to have little conversations, or just even not conversations with Luke per se, but like him staying close to Luke and saying stuff to,
Yeah.
Luke goes to bed, he's talking to Uncle Owen outside, and Obi-Wan's talking to Owen, and he's like, listen, you know who his dad was. This is what he's capable. I've sensed this. He has the
Mhm.
Force. He has the, and he pulls Uncle Vernon like,
Yeah.
no, thank you. We don't. Yeah, you're not going to
Right.
Hogwarts. No crackpot fool. Teach him magic tricks.
Yes.
I
Is it
think
one of
it's
those things where he's like, yeah, I don't want to listen to the fact that he's capable of doing all this stuff. He lives here. He works on the farm. That's what he is.
and if we
His
see him
dad
as a
went got
10-year-old
himself
now
killed
too.
or got himself whatever. We're not getting involved. It actually, there are a lot of similarities to Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Of like your dad, your dad got parents got themselves blown up in this whole thing, and
Mhm.
Petunia and Vernon, all that stuff for the Harry Potter fans out there. So is it like we know you're capable of all this, but we're not letting you get into it?
I think it just depends
Or-
on when this conversation is happening. Like if this is Uncle Owen and Obi-Wan when Luke's 10 years old, I think that's a completely different conversation, because that's now enough to where Uncle Owen is now like, this isn't just Anakin's kid anymore. This is my kid.
Mhm.
Like, we're raising
he's
him.
raising him.
It's not just here's a kid and then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to look after this child because
Anakin,
I should.
in all
That's right.
honesty,
At
doesn't
this
even know
point, he's
alive.
like, this is my kid, and I don't want
Mhm.
him involved in
Mhm.
any of this stuff. I
Yeah.
think it's a little different perspective
Oh.
now for Uncle Owen.
Owen and Beru win the argument because he doesn't take
Yeah.
Luke
Just
away.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
Ben just kind of slips
And what's
back into
funny
the,
is-
into the shadows more
Totally.
What's funny
because
is
he doesn't have a relationship.
exactly, and part of the reason why I got you made me think earlier is like what happens with the Inquisitors is because I was thinking eventually Obi-Wan, whether if he is told to leave because they're coming after you, not Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So you being here, Obi-Wan, is putting Luke in jeopardy because they're looking for you.
Yeah.
So if Obi-Wan leaves and goes and does all this stuff, he comes back by episode 4. That's what made me think at some point these Inquisitors are either wiped out or something, because he feels comfortable enough to actually be back on Tatooine watching him
Mhm.
without them coming after him. I don't know.
Yeah.
what great
Interesting.
people though Owen and Beru are.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna flesh. They're gonna
think
get
so, too.
redeemed a little bit.
I agree.
So-
Owen's not gonna be just
I
This is
as
agree.
some justice for Owen and
preventing
Beru
his
here.
It is.
destiny
Yeah.
guy.
It is.
It's gonna be more than that, and
I think we'll
we're
see
gonna
them
get to see that.
doing
Which
a little
also,
bit
I
even
think
more
that-
action, like getting involved in things that
Yeah.
You're gonna
appears-
see more of their sacrifice for helping Luke.
It appears that he stands up to an Inquisitor. At least, I mean, it looks like he's not backing down when Inquisitors are
Not giving away
intimidating
information.
villagers
Right.
and all of that stuff. It's I think this is a little bit of, because I think if you just go by A New Hope, I remember at least growing up thinking like, man, Uncle, man, like get on board. Like
Right.
they're
Come on.
kind of seeing like they're the ones holding him back and all this, and we're finally gonna get more of the perspective of like, this is essentially their son. They've literally raised this kid from a baby, from a newborn child. He's their kid, and they know what happened to his father. They don't want him to. They don't. Also, what this is going to flesh out now is not only do they know what happened to his father, they also know that actively throughout the years, people have been coming for Obi-Wan Kenobi, trying to kill him. People with red lightsabers.
Right.
And if they find out that if Luke stays out of it, no one's going to know he's here because he's been here for 19 years and no one's ever come after him. Or at least no one's ever gotten to him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he takes his first step into a larger world and gets out there and ignites his first lightsaber, they can't protect him anymore.
I'm gonna
the only way they can
prediction.
for sure keep him safe is if they. But then Obi-Wan is like,
out.
yes, but the galaxy needs him. Like the only way the galaxy survives is with Luke, and then it's this whole back and forth thing.
I'm gonna make a prediction.
And then the stormtroopers just kill him
and that's it. And that's it.
I think
with their precise shooting.
at some
Only
point,
stormtroopers. Imperial stormtroopers.
I think at some point we have an encounter with, could be an Inquisitor, maybe like an Imperial officer or something. Most likely an Inquisitor because they're hunting Obi-Wan. Where we see another Darth Maul moment for Obi-Wan. As in, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to draw my sword.
let it
You
happen.
found out Luke's here?
Mm-hmm.
You're dead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Like
we're going to
he's
see him
trying
kill
to-
an
I see
Inquisitor.
what you mean.
We're going to see Obi-Wan kill an Inquisitor because they actually found out. And it'll be like a Rogue One situation where you're like, they were that close?
I have no
Like
choice.
Vader was that close.
Yeah.
An Inquisitor actually found out
had
Luke
to do
was
it.
here, but
Mhm.
Obi-Wan stopped it. Like,
Mhm.
didn't
I
let the
can see
Inquisitor
that.
get back to Vader to tell him.
Yeah.
Like, they were that, Luke was that.
I think
the
that
Inquisitors
encounter
were that
seems
close.
real. That seems
Like,
like
I feel
it
like that.
does.
And then
likely.
that could be what draws him to be
triggers him to
like,
go.
get into
Yeah.
action, take him out, but then go on the run maybe. Or
Will we get Dexter Jetster in this? We get a little Dex. Not on the same place. Dex has probably moved around, but he goes to some place, and we got just a 2022 another live action Dex, and he's just
that'd
sitting
be
there.
great.
And he's old and
Imagine.
gray, and he's still hiking up his
Wait, no.
pants.
he's
still
still
got his
he's still
plumbers
working the
cracked.
same place.
He's still working.
He runs.
The same
He's got
place.
the same place.
Because Obi-Wan can't go to Coruscant. It's just too.
No.
Yeah.
It's too. It's for the Imperial. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
Right. No way.
Imperial Palace. You couldn't do it.
Is that
So
why?
I don't think it's gonna happen. But
Are we gonna get? And maybe this is why. Uncle Owen was always pushing for Luke to just do another year farming because he knew the Empire, the Academy, is not where he wanted Luke to go.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, just one more year. He kept telling him one more year because he's like, I'm never gonna let you go there.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't want to tell Luke why. Yeah.
Most of his friends are gone.
it's only one more season.
It's only one more
Come
season.
on.
Yeah.
I'll make
I
it up
don't
to
know.
There
I
is a little
promise.
bit. There is also. I mean, in a farming family, that is a real thing. It's not
Yeah.
just preventing, but actually,
it's-
I need you to help
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Well, yeah.
I can't do the
No,
work.
we physically can't
We
survive.
won't
Yeah.
eat
produce
if you're
That's
not
true.
helping
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Part of
that's
that.
true. Yeah.
But it's also, I think,
It's a tough business too on Tatooine of all places.
farming moisture out of nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Exactly.
Do we want to do a quick recap of start to finish Obi-Wan's
Yeah.
journey?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I guess we're first introduced just chronologically. It would be Phantom Menace
Mhm.
because, as we mentioned earlier,
How old
we don't-
was he? Do we know?
I don't know.
He was supposed to be
He's
pretty,
pretty
I
young.
think he's late teens, maybe.
Teens.
Late
Yeah.
teens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Anakin's age
young.
in like episode 2,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
I'm ready to take the trials.
First tragedy happens pretty quickly. Episode 1, he already has a tragedy, loses
Right.
his master.
Holds
loses
Qui-Gon in
Qui-Gon.
arms.
Demonstrates his ability to take someone who has the high ground.
Exactly.
Yes.
Starts
Also shows how very impressive he is already with the
Incredibly.
saber.
Yeah.
That's true.
Incredibly
So
impressive.
kills
He's
Darth
got force
Maul.
speed
Kills
that
Darth Maul.
apparently can only happen once per saga.
Was for Zarga.
Yeah, it's like you use it's your
You
special
used
ability.
it.
You use it once. Like, dang it.
Darn
You,
it.
you could have beat the droidicars without we did,
Should have saved that.
the destroyers.
So we
and
could
that.
go through his journey
Yeah.
in terms of who he killed too.
Yeah,
it's
let's.
just-
We could hit like all the
So in one,
tragedies, some milestones.
tragedies, achievements.
Yeah, Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tragedies and achievements.
So he's then told he was kind of against training Anakin. He kind of was with the council on that until
Mhm.
it was Qui-Gon's dying wish.
Yeah.
So he says yes.
And
He says
that
yes.
starts his path, the entire Maul saga we see through Clone Wars and Rebels.
Right.
And
That's
his
other.
hatred that's like a side
Yeah.
story, but
Mhm.
the whole thing between him and Maul now starts because of that.
Mhm.
That's a whole nother thing because that
Yeah.
leads to tons more tragedies with Satine and stuff. Is all because of Maul.
Right, right.
Maul's. It all leads back to his Phantom Menace
Mhm.
days with Maul.
Yep.
Mhm.
The Attack of the Clones
Attack of the Clones
fails trying to kill Dooku.
fails. Yeah, fails against
Dooku was powerful.
Dooku
was
was
old
powerful.
man, but
Yeah.
the way he just
I mean,
absolutely
he took him out. He took out Anakin and Obi-Wan immediately.
like that.
Right.
And then
Survived.
was that kind of a
Yoda.
stalemate with Yoda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dooku was powerful. Yeah, he gets captured by Dooku. He gets told the entire. He gets told the plans
And picks the wrong side.
and
Kinda.
doesn't believe.
How would you blame
Dooku.
him, though? How could you blame him?
And then Obi-Wan calls him Dooku.
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 Yeah. Yeah, almost dies in the arena. Basically,
Yeah.
he's getting attacked.
Kills Grievous.
Kills
Kills
Grievous. That's
Grievous,
true.
yes.
Huge.
So
Mhm.
uncivilized. Yeah.
Civilized. That's where we get
Kills
hello
Grievous.
there.
Yep.
That's the
That's
classic.
right.
Who would have known the classic hello there?
Hello there. Yeah,
Hello there.
seriously. Yeah, kills Grievous. Leading into that's Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith early. Revenge of the
Yeah.
Sith.
The entire
Utapau.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the entire turn. Order 66. Commander Cody turns
Right.
on him
Mm-hmm.
right after giving him his lightsaber back, which I would say that was pretty good. That happened right.
Yeah, good timing there.
Good,
at least.
Right.
good timing, Cody. Good timing. Gives him the saber.
Poor timing for Order 66, maybe.
Or, yeah.
Yeah,
There we
right.
go. Oh, yeah, by the way.
Oh yeah. By the way, give me that back.
By the way, you might need this.
And then,
the
Then you get
and then the fall. And the,
falling. The music
Yeah.
changes,
yes. Oh, brutal.
and then it's just on the
And
run.
obviously we get.
Well, before
Mustafar.
that,
We
if
get
we're going
Mustafar.
chronological, I guess
You get Mustafar.
Clone
step
Wars,
into Clone Wars
Satine.
stuff.
Yeah, you got all the
Right.
Clone Wars, Satine stuff.
Yeah.
You got Savage, Oppress,
All of that.
Maul,
Encounter
all of
Maul.
that.
It is you.
You
Maul.
get some oh gosh, what's her name? In Clone Wars. Ventress.
Yeah,
Ventress?
Ventress.
Ventress. in
True, you get some
there.
good Ventress with
Ventress,
Obi-Wan too.
Ventress flirts with Obi-Wan a little bit,
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
kind of mess with him a little bit. But
Man,
yeah,
Ventress is such an interesting
Ventress
character
is
too.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good
Satine
Clone
though,
Wars stuff.
all the
Satine.
stuff with
She's gotta make an
Mandalore and
appearance
his
in
tie to Mandalore and Satine and yeah. So
Yeah, Satine's
Satine's
big
death,
for
that's
Obi-Wan.
another tragedy. He's willing to leave the order basically.
Mm-hmm.
He said,
Yeah.
say the word and I'll
Yep.
go.
Yep.
He's willing to leave the order. Obviously, that doesn't turn out well with Satine's death. His, again, surprises. I mean, obviously, how could he not just hate Maul? I mean, I'm sure he does.
Well, I think
but
to him, he's like
It's
he's like this
sad.
gnat that won't go away.
Yeah.
Where Maul is obsessed with Kenobi.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kenobi's like so beyond that and has
Uh-huh.
such
Exactly,
bigger fish to fry that this
exactly.
Maul keeps popping up. He's like, am I still dealing
That's
with
why-
you?
Why?
Like
that's funny.
it's not something that Obi-Wan's like just hunting
Exactly.
Maul constantly. Obi-Wan's focused on the big picture and Maul's
Yeah.
obsessed with Obi-Wan.
That's
Which is
yeah,
what makes it so
yeah.
much more tragic
Right.
when
Because
he
it
gets
is,
there
like-
and Maul's been so obsessed with Obi-Wan
Yeah.
that he's
Thought.
never progressed and he's
Right.
never
Yep.
healed from the trauma and tragedy he's faced, and he's never
Yeah.
he's there was that video of Sam Witwer going around from just like
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, so
earlier
awesome.
this week
So
that was
good.
going around of him talking about the intricacies of the different how. And then again, this is such good Filoni
Stances.
stuff and why
Yeah.
what it all represented and how Maul gets there and they're having this conversation and Maul is the same obsessed character that's just revenge driven. And
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's so past that, and it's not even a
Mhm.
thing that he's like, I don't want to kill you, but if you threaten the boy, like I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then he talks about how he immediately goes into the stance of the two fingers.
Original
and it's the
Obi-Wan,
original,
yeah, prequel.
Ewan. Then he goes, wait, that's not me anymore. I've actually learned from that.
Old
I
Ben.
am going to the old Ben
Right.
with the saber out.
Mhm.
And then at the last moment, he goes and he honors his former master and goes Qui-Gon, but he
Qui-Gon.
does it intentionally
Because he
to-
knows.
to invoke this or to provoke
The attack.
Maul and to get Maul to think about Qui-Gon and that
Mhm.
gets him to think like, oh yes,
I can defeat this.
I can defeat this. I've seen
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And then goes for the same move that he tried then because he thinks that
Yeah.
Obi-Wan wouldn't have learned from this and it fell right into the
Nope.
trap. And then he also dies in his arms just like Qui-Gon,
Exactly
just
the
like
same.
Satine,
Just
all
like,
the
yeah.
exact same.
And they both have a common enemy.
Yes.
The whole moment is just.
It's just
It's
so
just one of my. That's one of my
brilliant.
favorite moments in all of
Fantastic.
Star
Oh,
Wars.
it's so
It's
good.
just so good.
both of their hope is in Luke. It's
That's
funny.
it, right
It's
there.
just
I
so
know.
funny.
He will avenge us. What did he say?
the chosen one.
See.
He
is.
He is.
From my point of view, he is.
He
was From point of view.
avenge us. Yeah.
So
good.
so great. Yeah, and then obviously you get through the Clone Wars and Rebel stuff there, and get to
Got a big gap.
Luke. All right there, Amberu.
There's a
that
big
blue
gap,
one.
and we'll get some of this stuff answered.
I'm not sure we have much of a choice, but I'll remind him.
I mean, really, he has a droid that speaks with the Western Farmer of Bachi.
Hey, what about that
Yeah.
blue one?
Yeah, how about that blue one?
What about the blue
Oh, and it's got a bad motivator.
Look.
Look up here.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us? So
Man.
good.
The journey of
Oh, man,
Obi-Wan.
The journey.
I
It has
can't
been
wait to
quite a
fill
journey.
in we're going to fill
gap.
in so many
Oh.
gaps.
I think,
answer so many questions.
I think it's going to
Big
honestly
gap.
make us I love these filling in the gaps that make you look at. This is honestly very likely going to make us look at the very first Star Wars movie we ever saw.
It's going to change
differently.
it. Mhm.
yeah.
And I would expect in a positive way because it's just going to add such a added depth to.
Do you think is
what
it
he's been through.
possible? Is it possible that
That's
we
impossible.
could get that? So we got Rogue One that took us right up to 4.
right up to it?
Is it possible that we get the Obi-Wan Kenobi right up to meeting Luke, right up to the point where he comes out, where he hears the sound and
Oh,
comes
man.
up making the sound of the creature and meets
What would be
R2D2? Do
would be
we
interesting
get
is
that
how,
close of a
wow.
connection?
how
no.
Seeing what he's doing before then, and then that's how we
what would be interesting is how would they try
Oh.
to make him look? Do you think if they did that?
do. They do some kind of
Do they do
connection
something
between.
that makes him look like
Alligator?
or is
Or
it
do
like
they reshoot it exactly the same, but now it's Ewan McGregor?
Or-
aged?
it's like
Oh my
or they have
goodness.
they have some scene or something that clearly indicates this passage of time, and now you're just seeing kind of Obi-Wan from the back, and it's like him, and then
It's like a
he
different
goes
point, a
and he
different
goes
point
and he
of
walks
view.
up, and it's
Mhm.
you know
An
an unconscious
He's wearing
Luke
old,
who's right
tattered
there, and
clothes
it's,
now, and
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, just what
Man.
they can do with the with the technology.
I mean,
for the
anything's
face stuff now is
possible. Honestly, they
crazy.
can do anything. Yeah.
I can't count how many times I rewatched that Luke Skywalker, Grogu, Ahsoka training scene.
Oh my god.
And it was just like, it's unreal how good that looks now.
I know it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What's so exciting to me about this journey of Obi-Wan is that so much of Luke's life, Obi-Wan has been watching, protecting, thinking of him, and Luke never
Yeah.
knows. He
Yeah.
never knows. He doesn't know that the guy he met there in the desert with R2 has been his protector since he was a baby.
Yep.
Doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Never, and it's never told to him. Like
No,
as far as we
dies
know,
knowing that.
Obi-Wan dies.
The
and
only
it's
thing he gets
never
is
revealed.
Your father wanted you to have this when you're old enough.
Like he didn't say, and I've
Yeah.
also dedicated my last 20 years
I've been
to
here the
living in
whole
the desert
time.
in a cave.
which makes
I should
Obi-Wan
mention as
even
a side note that I've given up my life for you.
right.
Luke.
It makes it so much more noble
It is, yeah.
to do this
It's this
and then
thankless
not
job
say,
that
you know
he's-
what, kid, you owe me.
Yeah.
I've given up everything
I don't even.
for you.
I don't even feel the need to let you know that I'm.
He
doing
didn't
this.
put Luke on the hook for that. He just did it selflessly.
And
And
then,
then
when
when the moment presented itself,
when R2 shows
gently
up,
drew him in and began to
Yeah.
teach him.
when R2 shows up, because we were talking about this before, of like when did, like Obi-Wan's waiting, he's patient. Whether it's his conversations with Yoda, of like they probably had some conversations where it's like, listen, there will be a time, and the Force is gonna indicate, and it will be clear when it's time to get back in the game and intervene or to get Luke going, and then he's waiting patiently. He's there like 19 years or however long it is, and then who shows up? But C-3PO, who he knows,
right.
but 3PO's mind is wiped, doesn't know.
Mhm.
R2, and obviously he knows Luke and has been watching Luke, but R2, who is carrying a message from Luke's sister, who he also knows is alive, who he's also been checking in on,
That's right.
Yeah.
who says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." And he goes, "Thank you, Force. I'll take it from here." I think
Yeah.
I read you loud and clear. Like you
Right.
couldn't have a more clear
Right.
message that it is time to
It is
go.
time.
It
That's
is
what
go
made
time.
me think the plan was for him to never, ever leave.
Like, is there?
Obi-Wan, this is your dying mission. You have nothing else to do. That's it. And at the very last moment, he realized that's not right.
Yeah, get
Yeah.
back in it.
In that 1 second, he said, you're gonna have to learn the ways of the Force if you're gonna come with me." Changed it all. Obi-Wan in that moment said, "We're doing it different. We're gonna step out. I'm going to take another chance. This is the hope of the universe,
Yep.
and I'm gonna trust that you will not do what your father did."
It's
I
Luke and
I think
Rey.
he turned it on its
Man.
head.
It's
in that
Luke and
moment,
Rey.
Obi-Wan said, I'm not going to protect him anymore. I'm going to let him go
Yeah.
and push him in. Yeah, it
It's
is.
Luke and Rey, and,
It
and Luke
is.
coming to grips with
The courage to say,
I
okay.
that I need to be okay with doing what I can,
The risk.
and when I'm gone, the risk is what it is.
You-
But I need to trust
Mm-hmm.
in the Force and trust in the fact that I've done what I can,
That's right.
and the next generation, this next, whether it's Luke or Rey, they're gonna take on what
And who
what I was able to teach them and go from there.
And who did
And
learn?
I need to
who
trust
did
in
Luke
that.
first learn that lesson from?
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan.
Kenobi. Because I
Yeah.
know he thinks back on that like, well, he took a huge chance on me.
That's
I
the
was a
thing is-
complete nut. I was a complete.
Yeah.
I was always wanted. I was totally out of control, totally erratic. The son of Vader, and he took a chance.
I'm ready, Ben. Tell
on,
him I'm ready.
He took a chance on me, and I proved him right. Why can't somebody else?
Yeah.
Why couldn't Rey prove me right? I mean,
There's so
Yeah.
much of
and it came from Obi-Wan. I think it's
there's so much of Luke in the sequel trilogy
Yeah.
and Last Jedi in particular that has to.
Goes
He's
all the
in
way
that
back.
state that he has to be thinking about what old Ben did for him and
Yeah.
what and Yoda, how Yoda removed himself, how Ben removed himself.
right.
It's almost so obvious that this is mirroring those that it would have even been appropriate. Like, listen, I didn't make this up. This is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Obi-Wan did.
Right.
This is you fought, you lost, something happened. Like, I think that it's time.
So it's
to,
going to shed a positive light on the Last Jedi too.
Hey,
I
all-
think
it,
so.
It always comes back. to
I've
Last
seen a
Jedi.
ton of people
Always
saying, if
come
you don't
back.
like The Last
Back.
Jedi, just
You're
get
gonna-
ready for Obi-Wan, because I
You're
can
gonna
see a lot of
love-
parallels
I'm
coming.
going to love it.
Saw a lot of people saying
love
that.
it.
But I wonder if we'll see some, like, I'm just so interested in seeing what Obi-Wan's going to wrestle with. Because is there going to be a part of
going to wrestle with a Bantha? He'll probably wrestle with
Bantha.
is there a part of him that's going to be like,
Sand people.
there's no Jedi, like, it's me
He's
and
pinning a
Yoda?
same person's tapping.
Is there going to be a part of him that's like, it's me and what, Yoda? Like, we're the last Jedi that are out there?
Mhm.
Like,
And Yoda said, "I have no plans of getting back in.
Right.
I'm
Coming
just
back.
going here to die."
so
Right.
is there a part of him that's going to be like, the Jedi need to end? I'm it. I can't train Luke. This is it. I'm it. I'm gonna do my best to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as that's concerned, or is he gonna wrestle with? But is that okay? Like if I admit and I'm gone, then does the Empire just
do they
win? There's no chance of any Jedi ever.
Then the Emperor has already won.
Yeah, so that's just. I wonder what we'll see in terms of him wrestling
Can't
with
kill my
Luke
own
and what all he should do. But
The Emperor has already won. Luke, if you'll not commit murder when I tell you to, then you have
the
learned
Empire
nothing.
will do well.
You've learned
That's
nothing.
nothing.
I'm starting to think I'm on the wrong side.
Well, from a certain point of view.
You must kill who you think is right, of course.
That's not the line. It's you must do what you think is right, of course. That's what we do in killing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
you
all
must
right.
burn your friends alive. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'm getting that. No doubt.
I forgot. I don't know. Vader
That's-
betrayed and murdered your father. We're
That's
sticking
what
with
I-
that.
that's
Yeah,
stick with.
that's it. Yes. What did I tell you
Oh, man.
yesterday? We'll stick with it.
What
What-
did I tell you yesterday?
what was I saying before?
I think there are some moments in episode 4. I keep going back. I think we're gonna. You could call it retcon. You can call it whatever you want. Obi-Wan, we know lies if he needs to.
Yeah,
We'll say add some context to.
So he
flesh
lies. So when he says, "I don't recall owning any droids," lie. I know both
Because
of
he
these.
knows that
I
R2 is the
know.
only person who cannot speak up and say,
That's
say
exactly right. And we
Yeah.
we can
What?
translate R2. You know me. I always remember all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know any droid. Droid, please. So, from a certain point of view, is a powerful Obi-Wan
Oh yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
From a
So,
truthful point of view, this is a lie.
In another, the frame
From
it
a
differently.
lying
I'm
point of view, this
lying.
was completely regular. This was
It's
great.
opposite. So I think we'll have some of those moments bear themselves out. Like,
Yeah.
he was. It wasn't
I
a
do too.
mistake. He was
Yeah.
Yeah.
lying or
He was
leaving out the truth.
lying. I wonder if we'll see
That's
Qui-Gon teach him that, how to lie so
Yes.
well. With the Force.
This is how he. Don't you remember I said I was not in this show? I am a master.
I
of
don't do
lying.
shows.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's just so many
I love it.
possibilities. That's just, yeah.
The journey of Obi-Wan Kenobi has been a great one, and we know where it started, or at least from what we've gotten on screen.
Yeah.
And we know where it ends, but I can't wait to see this middle part fleshed
Man.
out
It's gonna be awesome.
even more.
Yeah.
Because it's a time period that I love. I love the rise of the
too.
Empire. That makes it sound very evil. I love the rise of the Empire.
Good. Good. Anakin. Good.
the rise of the Empire and the death of the rebellion.
Unlimited power.
Pitiful little bad.
No.
I don't love the rise of the Empire as far as not from like
Mike's
a
like,
moral
I
can we
do.
change?
I love it.
Can we change the
I-
title of episode 9 to the Rise of the Empire?
the death of hope. No, I love the time period of seeing the Empire rise and the galaxy. I love the galaxy hopeless. No,
It's the underdog story. It's
That's
the
where I'm getting
platform for the underdog
that's
to
why
be
I
the hero.
always go back to.
Yeah.
And again, part of it is it's first thing I was introduced to, but
Yep.
I've always been a big Rebellion Empire guy.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I mean,
time
that's the
period in
story of Star Wars.
That's-
There's
The struggle
That
against
is,
the odds
yeah,
that somebody
exactly.
overcome and
it's
save
the
the world.
It's the
Save the
it's-
universe.
It's
awesome.
it's the spark of hope.
Yeah.
I love it. So going back to that time period,
Obi-Wan is
Is-
fanning the
is
flames
great.
of hope that will lead to the next.
with also this being like
The
the
rise of the
biggest
rebellion.
crossover of kind of original trilogy time with prequel actors and prequel characters.
Yeah.
It's such a fun.
And then the ties with the Inquisitors to the TV shows.
The
There's
TV
just so
shows,
much
to
integrated
TV shows
into
and games. It's like this whole kind of just great
Just
stew
going all
of
out.
Star Wars stuff. That's like it really does feel like, oh, if your original trilogy, you'll really like this.
Mhm.
If this is
Prequel.
if prequels are your thing, oh,
You're
you'll
gonna love it.
really
Yeah,
you'll
right.
love this. Are you someone who really likes the animated shows and don't really
Yeah.
see them represented a
Yeah.
lot on
Oh,
the
you
shows?
played
You'll-
Fallen
this is
Order?
your-
Love
This is
it.
your thing. Fallen Order?
You played
I
it?
love
All
it.
right. You'll like
You a
it.
big fan of the soundtrack of Loki? Well, guess what?
Guess
I
what?
love what Natalie Holt does.
Ever
here.
heard of John Williams? Well, here you go.
Well,
He's back.
You haven't? You're a fool.
Well, who's a bigger fool?
The fool.
Who will compose this for him?
Oh man,
love
this is
it.
gonna be great.
This is great.
The
Can't
journey
wait.
of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ah,
There you have it.
can't wait. And we are. Apple Watch didn't come on, but imagine I looked at a date there. It just didn't pop up. We are just over a month away from this.
Just over
Yeah.
a month.
And we get the first two episodes
Yeah.
coming.
Huge.
Coming
Huge.
the 27th, Friday the 27th.
That's
That
right.
is very, very
Celebration.
soon. That's so
Mhm.
soon.
Celebration
I know.
weekend.
I know it.
Which there are rumors. Maybe we'll end the show with this. There's
That
some
we're
rumors
going?
that we'll get that there'll be some more footage within the next week.
Oh, man.
that
Yeah.
possibly
Yeah.
TV spot or.
We're gonna
a little
react-
footage.
we're
We'll,
reacting.
yeah,
Reacting.
be on the lookout. We'll be doing
got
some
it.
more
I've-
reactions
I've
and
reacted.
footage.
I've reacted.
I've
I've reacted.
I've
Yeah,
reacted.
certainly.
We could
Yes.
do
I
we
like
could
this
do
before.
yeah, okay.
We'll do Star Wars guys reactions.
Can we get our Mustafar green screen? I have a
Green
green
screen?
screen. We can set that up
Green
and
screen.
a little Mustafar background as we're
Yeah,
background.
a little Vader castle.
Reacting.
Oh, it says background. The background.
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 Jimmy?
Jimmy. Jimmy's fellas, man.
I like how we talk about something nobody knows anything about what we're
Yeah.
No.
It's
Uh,
the
great.
salty George
Yeah,
Lucas.
Salty George
Just
Lucas. YouTube it. You will not be
salty
sorry.
George Lucas. It's the
Yeah.
It's
greatest.
fantastic.
So
Give it
funny.
a look.
Josh Robert Thompson, the great Josh Robert Thompson, doing George
Fantastic.
Lucas. One of the greatest impressions I've ever seen.
Not just of George Lucas. The greatest impression I've ever seen. It's
Yes,
so
it's one of
good.
the greatest.
Rock.
It is by far the greatest George Lucas
Solid.
impression I've ever seen. But it is one of the greatest impressions
just of anybody.
of
It's
anybody
so
I've ever
good.
seen.
when they
It's
I
he just
can't-
embodies the character so well. We will automatically, we
Perfect.
will for sure be ending this podcast in like 30
Oh.
seconds and
And
pulling
then
up a
they'll pull
video.
up-
and
remember that?
We should do a reaction to us watching it together.
Oh man,
it's just so
It's so
fun.
good.
It's so good.
I'm down.
So good. I love it.
All right. Well, there you
All
have it.
right.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, the complete journey, went through how we were introduced to the character, but also taking a little deep dive into some of the tragic moments and also some of his triumphs and some of the things that he had going his way. A lot more to come with the series coming out soon. Can't wait for it. Like we just said, what was it? 27th.
May 27th.
27th.
Friday.
Friday.
Star Wars Celebration weekend, I believe, is that weekend too. So there's a lot of Star Wars stuff. Great time to be a Star Wars fan. So as always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. You can find us on Instagram. That's at Star Wars Guys Pod on Instagram. You can message us there, DM us with any podcast episode suggestions. If you want us to do a deep dive on a character or a certain movie, or you just have questions that you want addressed on the show, we'll be happy to address those. You can also drop those comments, on our video here on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell a friend about us here at Star Wars Guys. And as always, may the Force be with you.
You can't win, Darth. They'll subscribe to the podcast, and I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Remember, that's the key. You just change one line, and it's brilliant.
This is the podcast you were looking for.
podcast. Don't move along.
What about the podcast?